So, hello guys, and welcome back to episode 38 of Academy to Anfield. Now, end of season 4, it's been a long time coming, a very, very long, hard season, but the main thing is, the positive is, we've won a trophy, the streak continues, we've won a trophy every year for the first 4 seasons of this save, and not just that, I've done a bit of an update. I've now got logo packs on. I did have them originally, I think, or maybe in the beta even. It did slow down performance. But I think I've worked around it and I think we've got logos back. So you'll see nice shiny logos everywhere, hopefully from this video onwards. But before we get into the video properly, I just want to give everyone a massive thanks for all the support you've given me. But I do know a lot of you have only picked up the series kind of halfway through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly do a big recap, just quick, of the whole idea of the save, just so you guys get it. And then we'll cut straight to the review and see what's been going on. So a lot of you have joined the save, like I just said, maybe midway through and don't know the exact rules of Academy to Anfield, but I'm going to quickly explain them. So this is a Liverpool save. This is a homegrown Liverpool save, and the idea behind it is we're going to try and build over the next 10 years a complete homegrown team from our own youth system, from youth intakes, etc., and players that are already at the squad under 21. So that will include the likes of Harvey Elliott and Ryan Gravenberch. And we're going to build a squad to hopefully dominate world football, win a few trophies and call it a success. So, yeah, we're already about halfway through. We've got some good players coming through. If you're already caught up to the save, you might realise we've got quite a hefty bank balance. We've got quite a hefty transfer budget as well, but we can't touch that. If any players leave, the likes of Mo Salah, even Van Dijk, that's already left, the only way for us to plug those gaps is to take players from our own youth team, from our development squad or whatnot, and way. So as the save goes on, you may see, like we've just had in season 4, a big struggle with that transition. So hopefully, going into this new season, you're kind of all familiar with what the idea is now, and we can hopefully build a team and have a better season than we did last. So without further ado, let's just get into this review. Let's of course look. Of course, there's no transfers in. That might make a lot more sense to a lot of you now. I know some people were questioning, why has he got a load of money selling players and not buying anyone? But yeah, that kind of just all explained it there. But finished 5th in the league. As I said, nice shiny logos there, looking good. Only 2 points off the Champions League places. I still don't really know if we're going to get Champions League. At the moment, it's looking like Europa League, so that's not good. But as you can see, let's just take a quick look. We did get battered by Napoli. Well, I say battered. Performance-wise, we got battered. Won the FA Cup, the only trophy to elude us so far in this save. We won it in style, 5-1 against Fulham in the final. Knocked out against Arsenal because Arsenal knock us out of most things. As the Community Shield, I just said, Arsenal knock us out of most things. So, not the best season, but we did win a trophy, remember. So let's take the positives. Match to remember, of course, the West Ham game. I played it off camera, but I did tell you guys about it. Pennington there, central defender, getting a hat-trick inside the first half, which was absolutely crazy. But there we have it. And somehow Darwin Núñez is still the top shirt seller. I don't really know how, but considering Darwin Núñez doesn't play a lot, the only two that out of these 5 that do play a lot now is probably Soberslite and Trent. Of course, Salah slowly dropping off, and Diaz had an awful season. So there we have it. And this kind of shows that whole, what I just said really. We've had Jason Stone up front for the predominantly 3/4 of the season. This is the best 11. There's no Diaz, there's no Núñez, but there is of course a Soberslite and a Trent and a Mo Salah. But hopefully now we've settled on a formation for the future, and we don't need to chop and change as much as we have this season. Of course, Mo Salah getting fans player of the season. I didn't think he had a great season myself personally. Pennington there did. That's 2 seasons in a row. He's played very, very well, and I suppose it just shows Mo Salah being our top scorer in all competitions with 14 goals just isn't enough. Just is not enough at all. And of course, no record breakers this season because it has been a pretty dire season. But that is the review, guys. I do just want to take a quick look before we go forward into the summer and beyond. I want to look at the challenge for the Europa League qualifier. So at the moment, we're not in the Champions League, so that's quite bad. It looks like we're going to be in the Europa League this season, and they want us to qualify for the Champions League. So at least they're not wanting us to go for the title. But that kind of sucks. I was hoping we'd sneak into the Champions League. So 6 days later, in game, and all that disappointment. I think we're in the Europa League, the expectations of the board, etc. We're not. We've qualified for the Champions League. It doesn't say why, but I'm just assuming it's the coefficiency thing that's led to us qualifying for the Champions League. So we are back in the Champions League. All good stuff. This has now changed to say reach the latter stages of the Champions League, which of course they always want us to do, and it might be quite tough this year. But yeah, just a side note to let you guys know, we are in the Champions League, so positives already. So as you can see, we've gone through now till, I was going to say the 1st of July, but somehow it's the 2nd of July, and we've messed that up somehow. But ignore all this. This is hopefully staff coming in. We shall see. But I've got a problem, and it's a pretty big problem. So I wonder if you guys could actually know a way around this. So if you do, please do let me know. But it might be a little bit too late for this save by the time I read the comments, because I try and sort of do a block of episodes at one time. But we have, where is it? Let's try and find this. The board. Maximum of 1 year contracts for players over the age of 33. So that's favoured. So in my opinion, that would mean you can still offer them, but they just don't like it. But apparently not. They just don't let you offer more than 1 year contracts. 2 players that are going out of contract. So let's look at Mo Salah. Runs out in a year's time. Unfortunately, he doesn't want to sign. He's unhappy. So we may have to sell him, because we've got all the Saudi Arabian clubs sniffing once again. But the biggest problem is a player like Robbo. So, of course, he's got 1 year left on his contract. He's pretty happy. So we'll offer him a contract. And then he says, I'm extremely interested in renewing in general. I don't want to discuss a new contract at this time, because he won't be able to sign longer for that. Wouldn't be able to sign for any longer than he's currently contracted for. So he's basically saying if he signs a brand new contract, he can only sign a year contract anyway to 2028. So I've got this problem where I'm literally going to have to wait till January to offer Robbo a new contract, in the hope that no one else from, foreign clubs come in. We're talking Saudi Arabia potentially, and offer him a huge contract and do it that way. So I'm a little bit worried about losing Robbo. Luckily, I've tied Alisson down to a long-term contract before he hit 33. And Salah, I'm kind of thinking I either lose him on a 3 next summer or cash in on him this year. I don't necessarily need the cash in there. I think we've already had a bid for him, actually. Or have we not? If I just sort of imagine that. Okay. But yeah, I'm sort of expecting bids to come in, and I don't think they're going to get anywhere near his £70 million asking price. But I'm a little bit like, I don't need the money. So shall I just wait till next year and lose him on a free at 36 years old? I think I might have to do that, especially since, the likes of Ben Doak and Aston Tornian and etc. and Johnny Webb aren't ready for that right wing spot at the moment. So yeah, but my question was, if anyone knows a way around this, where I've got a problem where I can't offer him longer than a 12-month contract, I'd like to do a 2-year contract, really, because we've got no one coming through on the left. Obviously, only Owen Beck, who's a decent backup, but that's kind of all he is. So yeah, if anyone knows a way around that, let me know. Other than that, I think we're just going to get straight into some of the players we've developed this year, and I'm going to take you through the squad, really. So let's just have a quick scan down the squad. Of course, Kelleher is wanted by Tottenham and Real Madrid, because why not? We're going to try and sell Quansah this year because we don't need him. He's not. Millward is already just as good on paper as Quansah, so we're going to get rid of him. Speaking of Millward, he is now 18 years old. He's 3.5 star potential ability, which obviously doesn't seem like a lot. However, he could be a good player for us. So we're going to try and look to develop him more this year. He's not had a lot of game time. As you can see, only 7 starts. 7 games in the Premier League. 11 in total. 13 in total, sorry. So he's going to try and get more game time this year. Obviously, Gomez, Bradley, etc. we're keeping around. Stefan Bajcetic is probably near on. I mean, he's got 2 caps for Spain now. Near on at his peak, I'd say. If we take a look, he's not really progressed at all over the last year. If we go back 12 months, as you can see, ever so slightly in all aspects of his game, but generally speaking, he's a pretty tidy player anyway now. As you can see, he's averaged over 7 for all 4 seasons with us. Probably dipped off a little bit last season. However, we all collectively as a team had an awful season. So hopefully we see better things from him this year. Carter Pennington, wanted by Frankfurt. He's not going nowhere. He's 4-star potential ability. He's been a little bit stuck on 2-star for a while. If we look at him over the last year, he's not changed an awful lot. If we look at him since the beginning, he's obviously, well, technically he's not improved a lot. Heading and marking is his big increases there, but physically and mentally he's improved a lot. But he sort of seems to be in this weird no man's land at the moment where he's not quite developing, but he's still playing very, very well. So he's going to be one we're going to have to really home in on and try and develop a bit more this year. He's obviously, I think he's 20 years old now. Yeah, so he's got a couple of years left in him before we sort of potentially see a decrease in his potential there. But as you can see, last season, if you include that hat-trick, was his best season yet. 25 games, 7 goals in the Premier League. So he's playing really well. So I kind of want to say ignore all of his attributes and just kind of focus on his average rating because he's playing very, very well. Owen Beck, we'll keep around. I'm not going to show you him too much because he didn't have the best season. As you can see, only played 11 starts in the Premier League. I need him as a backup though. So we're going to try and be a bit more fairer to him, give him a bit more game time. Alexis McAllister was meant to be leaving. I think he will be leaving this year because obviously we need to make room for, well, Gravenberch, obviously homegrown player. Luke is a homegrown player. He needs to get a bit more game time. Potentially, we'll look to loan him out this year. Obviously, he come back last season. We only gave him 1 start at the end of the season. Played quite well. But didn't get the game time we wanted him to at Preston either. But he assisted 2 goals in 4 games. So he didn't have a bad start there, but just didn't get the game time at all. Mark King, however, he is going to be the big man, isn't he? He's going to be the main man 4 years to come. He's 18 years old. He's already a good Premier League player. And I just fully expect him to just kick on this season. Let's just take a quick look at his stats. He's played 29 games last year as a 17/18-year-old in the Premier League. Yes, his average rating wasn't fantastic, but you'd like to think he'd kick on. He's still got years of development left in him. Like I said, only 18. And if we look at the last 12 months, you can see he's going in the right direction with pretty much all of his attributes. And then if we look at him, since he come on the scene, he's already had major, look at his technical, his physical and mental attributes have skyrocketed there. And obviously, technically, he's only 18. He's got a lot of growing to do. So really excited about Mark King. Already got 4 appearances for the under-21s. I don't think it'll be long before he makes the step up to the senior side, if I'm honest. And then, of course, if we take a little look down the list, we've got Soberslai, obviously not a homegrown player, but he's only 26. So we're going to try and keep him around as long as possible to help those youth players just sort of bed in. Again, had a really good season. His best, just shy of his best so far. Goal-wise, very good. I think that's where we played him in the attacking midfield role for quite a couple of months. So I think that really did help his goals ratio. Of course, Harvey Elliott, we know about Harvey Elliott. Fabio Carvalho, I have given a new contract to because he's a handy player to have. Might not look it on paper, but he's handy to have around. He 10 games last year, 7 starts, 2 goals, 3 assists, and 1 player of the match. So he's handy to have around, especially Luis Diaz seems to be dropping off. So he's very handy to have around. Cade Gordon will likely move on this year. He's not going to be good enough for the team, really. But, of course, Aston Tornianen played 19 games in the Championship last year. Played very well. 3 goals, 4 assists in those 19 games. And actually helped Sunderland, of course, a Premier League team now. There they are. Get promoted. So not a bad season for him. Of course, he is a decent Premier League player now. could improve a lot. We'll take a quick look how he's developed over the last year out at Sunderland. Not too bad at all. You'd hope coming back to Liverpool though he'll really push on this year. So he's another one potentially there to take Mo Salah's spot long term. There is Mo Salah. We'll talk about Ben Doak in a second. We've obviously got probably the three most exciting other than Mark King. We've got Lewis Kumas, who's played a lot of games for us now, but a bit like Pinnington, he is struggling. I mean, that's not bad numbers at all, is it? 7 goals, 4 assists in 28 appearances, 18 starts. That's really not bad at all. But his development has just sort of dropped off. Although it looks good on paper, I don't feel like he's been developing as well as possible. If you see sort of back to, look at his technical ability has completely changed over the last few years since we started this save. But the last 12 months, let's have another quick look. He's not really done too much. So we're hoping he can kick on this year. It might be his last year to prove himself, really. He's 21 years old now, so hopefully he can prove himself. And then, of course, we've got Johnny Webb here, who is an 18-year-old. He's only 4-star potential ability. However, he's come in, bearing in mind Johnny Webb scored in the FA Cup final, which was quite nice to see. He's come in right at the sort of the back end of last season. So if we look at his development, you'll probably be able to tell just from this where he sort of come in sort of April, May time, and he's just sort of skyrocketed there. But if we have a look this way, as we can see over the last 12 months, he's done okay. Major improvements there in his physical, not so much in his technical and mental. However, like I said, he did only come into the team sort of the back end of last year. So you'd hoping, he's 18, he could have a lot of growth in him this year. And then, of course, last but not least, second from last, shall we say, the penultimate, Mr. Jason Stone. He's been around for all 4 years now, come in on the first youth intake. So we have got a little bit of a soft spot for him. He's 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential to improve a lot apparently. Didn't have the best season. We did sort of make him our main striker, so to speak. He didn't thrive at all under that pressure. But hopefully this season will be different, talking positive, etc. Yeah, there we go. That's his improvement over the last year. Not a lot at all, really. However, if you compare that to when he started, big improvement. So he definitely dropped off. I mean, you just look at this to really appreciate how much he has dropped off this year. But personality-wise, he's a perfectionist. So I'd like to think that will shine through at some point and we can see him developing quite nicely this year. I mean, finishing is not too bad. Could do with improvement, couldn't it, if he's going to be a top striker. But some of the chances he's missed, you could quite easily call him the new Darwin Núñez. So, yeah. But anyway, last but not least, Ben Doak. Now, Ben Doak is a strange one. He's 21 years old now. Got some really good attributes there. 2.5-star potential ability, 4.5-star potential ability, 2.5-star current ability there. But the problem with Ben Doak is, as you can see, in the last 12 months, he has really dropped off. I wonder if we can see that better. Looking at his attributes, you can see he's really dropped off this year. However, there is a reason. And if I go back to when he was 20 years old, as you can see, again, no significant change. 19, that's when he stopped developing, really, wasn't it? 19 years old. And the problem with that is he's becoming a bit of a liability injury-wise. Just this year alone, so since January and we're now July, he's had the best part of 3 months off nearly, which is awful. If we look back a couple of seasons, 3 weeks off, 6 weeks off, 3 weeks off, loads of weeks off. And it's becoming a problem. It really is, because it's really hindering his development. Somehow he's not injury prone, because I feel like he is. But Ben Doak, I believe this is his last season to really, develop and get himself into this team properly. We've got a lot of young players, younger than him now, coming through, wanting his spot. So this is definitely his last year to prove himself. But that is the team, guys. We've got a couple. We haven't got anyone coming through, really. If we take a look at the under 21s, we've got Alpha Sesse. That's going to go out on loan this year. He's probably our only player worth talking about. He did have a loan out last season. No, he didn't. I'm talking about the wrong player. It completely ignored me. We're talking about Ronsi, who was out last year on loan to Shrewsbury. Just the back end of last season, though, didn't get a single goal. So that was a bit of a dud loan as well. But he's got the potential to come in and be a very good striker for us as well. He's League 2 standard at the moment. But again, we've got a lot of options in the attacking third of the pitch. Even in centre midfield, it's defence that we're sort of worrying about ever so slightly. So we've got Alex Thompson there. He's 18 years old. He's 3.5 star potential ability. We'll probably look to loan him out this year. Went to TNS last year, didn't cut it. So he's come back. We're going to look at trying to get some smart loans this year for a number of these players. Obviously 19 now, Edward, Antwi. So we're going to try and look at getting some decent loans for these players this year. But of course, we need to talk about the players that have left. This year has been a big year in terms of players leaving. We've lost Diego Jota, Calvin Ramsey, Tsimikas, Curtis Jones, which I'm still upset about, if I'm honest. I did want to keep him around the squad, but he was just sick and tired of being a backup player and not playing week in, week out. So kind of what can you do when you're in that situation? But Darwin Núñez has left. Nonyoy, Scanlon and Chambers have all left as well. There may be a few more on their way out, but at the moment we've lost quite a few players. Don't get me wrong, we've still got the key players. We've still got Soberslide playing, Elliott's still there, etc. Allison, Konate. So we've still got the spine of the team. But for all those that thought, why is he getting rid of so many players and not replacing them with that nice healthy tuna? I'd love to spend that. I really would. £251 million in the bank to spend. Well, not even in the bank, just in the transfer budget. That. But sadly, that's kind of not what this save's about. But we're going to come back for the Chelsea game. Let's just take a quick look before we end this episode. We're going to come back for the Chelsea game. We're going to start the season at home to Leicester. I would love to get a positive start after what happened last season. But going into the 5th season now, you'd like to hope that we're kind of just past the midway point of this save, maybe even further. And in the next couple of years, we can put together a proper homegrown team and start trying to win some trophies.